Have you ever noticed how some people vanish when life gets hard? Have you trusted someone only to realize they were just there for the good times? Why do certain individuals offer help, but it feels more like control than care? If any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone. In today's video, we're diving deep into a powerful Stoic truth. Not everyone who stands by you is truly for you. And when you're at your lowest, the masks come off. If you're serious about leveling up your mindset, protecting your energy, and building a life with real support around you, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Let's get into it. 1. When they disappear in your darkest hour, there's a certain kind of clarity that only suffering can bring. When life darkens, and you're no longer the strong, radiant version of yourself that others are drawn to, when you're stripped bare by grief, hardship, or failure, this is when the masks around you fall away. The people who disappear during your darkest hour aren't just absent bodies, they are mirrors, revealing a truth you may not have wanted to see. Stoic philosophy teaches that adversity doesn't merely shape us, it unmasks the world. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive." This mindset isn't about denying pain, but facing it with a clear, sober mind. And in these moments of raw vulnerability, we are gifted the rare opportunity to observe who truly stands with us, not out of convenience or gain, but out of character. It is often said that suffering reveals your true friends. But perhaps more importantly, it reveals those who were never friends to begin with. The ones who once filled your phone with laughter, who shared photos and memories and promised loyalty. Some of them were only there for the sunshine. When the storm came, they didn't just drift, they vanished. This can feel like betrayal, but it's really a blessing. Imagine living your whole life surrounded by illusion, unaware that the people you trust most are only playing roles. Isn't it better to know? Isn't it better to be surrounded by a few who are real than many who are false? Epictetus taught that we must learn to desire things as they are, not as we wish them to be. Wanting others to remain loyal in hardship is natural, but not guaranteed. When people leave, it's not always about your worth. It's about their inability to confront discomfort. Some can only love you when you are easy to love. The truth is, loyalty cannot be faked in the fire. When someone stands beside you while you're bleeding, when there's nothing to gain from your presence but your pain, that is the definition of real support. These are the people who understand that loyalty is not seasonal. Their presence in your life isn't conditional on your success, your mood, or your convenience. You do not need to chase those who left. Their absence is a message. It tells you who you can trust, who is capable of depth, and who is merely a surface dweller in the sea of relationships. Let them go. Don't hold bitterness. Instead, be grateful, because now you know, and you? Let this experience sharpen your own character. Become the person who stays. Be the friend who doesn't flinch when life gets uncomfortable. When someone else faces their darkest hour, you will remember how it felt to be abandoned. Use that memory not to fuel resentment, but to build compassion. Stoicism isn't about isolation. It's about self-reliance tempered with wisdom. You can walk forward alone, but stronger, because you're no longer carrying the weight of false friendships. The path may seem lonelier at first, but it becomes brighter, because the people left walking beside you are real. 2. When your pain becomes their gossip, opening up about your struggles is one of the bravest things you can do. It requires the courage to be seen, not as the curated version of yourself that the world applauds, but as the raw, trembling human behind the mask. And when you decide to share that truth with someone, you are extending them a sacred trust. So when your pain becomes their gossip, it cuts deeper than a betrayal. It's a theft of your dignity. The Stoics valued internal fortitude, but they also understood the importance of relationships rooted in honesty and virtue. Seneca's words still echo across time. A friend is someone who gives you total freedom to be yourself. That kind of friendship isn't common, it's forged, not found. It is a rare connection, one that honors your truth and guards your vulnerability like a treasure. So when someone takes your pain and packages it as entertainment, spreading it in whispers or jokes, it tells you everything you need to know. They never intended to carry your burden. They only wanted to be close enough to see you bleed, not close enough to stop the bleeding. We must not confuse proximity with trustworthiness. Just because someone is physically close doesn't mean they are emotionally safe. And just because someone listens doesn't mean they care. The Stoics taught us to judge not by words, but by actions. And when someone weaponizes your honesty, that action reveals their soul. Gossip thrives on the illusion of intimacy. But real closeness doesn't exploit. Real allies know that trust is fragile, and once broken, it cannot be easily rebuilt. They understand that when you share your suffering, you're not asking for pity. You're seeking connection, understanding, or even just silence in solidarity. And what should you do when your pain becomes someone else's story? You walk away, quietly, firmly, without drama, without needing to explain. Because once you know someone cannot protect your truth, continuing to confide in them becomes self-harm. Seneca also said, "It is more fitting to laugh at life than to lament over it." And perhaps part of that laughter comes from knowing you finally learned to draw boundaries. Let their actions teach you how to value your vulnerability. Not to hide it, but to guard it more wisely. Pain does not make you weak, but placing it in the wrong hands can delay your healing. Instead, seek those who don't need to be told to respect your silence. Those who ask how you're doing, not so they can share your answer later, but because they genuinely care. And if you find even one person like that, hold on to them, and if not, learn to be your own safe space. The Stoics believed in self-sufficiency, not because they shunned community, but because they knew that not everyone deserved access to your soul. 3. When help comes with strings. Attached help, when it's sincere, is a beautiful thing. It lifts you, encourages you. It's a bridge built out of compassion, not obligation. But there are times when what seems like support is merely a disguised transaction. And the moment you accept it, you find yourself entangled, trapped in a silent contract you never agreed to. Some people offer help not out of kindness, but to gain leverage. Their generosity has a price tag: obedience, loyalty, public praise, or emotional control. You begin to feel like you owe them, your decisions, your time, even your gratitude on repeat. That's not help, that's manipulation. Stoicism, at its key, core, is about freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of externals, from toxic attachments, and from the control of others. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This includes freedom from those who use kindness as a leash. When someone offers you help, pay attention to how it feels. Does it lift you or weigh you down? Does it give you more clarity or more confusion? True support should feel like wind, unseen but empowering. It should not feel like chains disguised as care. If someone brings up how much they've done for you in every argument, if they guilt you into compliance or remind you of your debt, then their help was never a gift. It was bait. This doesn't mean we should refuse all assistance, but we must learn to discern the spirit behind it. Accept help, yes, but never surrender your autonomy in the process. True friends want to see you rise on your own terms. They don't want to control the altitude or direction of your flight. When we help others, let us also be mindful. Are we helping because we care, or because we want to be seen as helpful? Are we giving, or are we investing with the expectation of returns? Stoic virtue calls us to act from principle, not ego. Autonomy is sacred. Guard it. Let your life be shaped by choices you make freely, not out of guilt, fear, or silent indebtedness. You don't need to explain yourself to those who see your independence as a threat. Simply walk your path with clarity. Gratitude and obligation are not the same. One comes from the heart, the other from pressure. Accept help with grace. Give help without expectation. And when someone tries to own your journey because they once gave you directions, thank them, then take back the wheel. 4. When you feel like a burden, there will be times in your life when you are hurting, confused, or simply overwhelmed. You reach out, hoping for a hand to hold or a shoulder to lean on, but instead, you're met with sighs, silence, or subtle shifts in tone. Suddenly, you're not just dealing with your pain, you're carrying the weight of someone else's discomfort with your vulnerability. And in that moment, a thought creeps in. Maybe I'm too much. Maybe I'm a burden. But let's pause right there. Your vulnerability is not a weakness. It is not an inconvenience, a problem to fix, or a nuisance to endure. It is a truth that deserves space. When someone treats your emotional openness as a disruption, what you're seeing is not a reflection of your worth. It's a revelation of their limits. You see, emotional availability is a skill, not a given. Some people simply haven't done the inner work to hold space for others. They don't know how to listen without trying to fix, to be present without shrinking away. This isn't necessarily because they're bad people. Often, it's because no one was present for them. They've learned to turn away from pain, to armor up instead of open up. Still, that doesn't excuse the way they make you feel. You are not asking too much by needing support. You are not flawed for being human. It is completely normal to reach out, to cry, to say, "I'm not okay," and to want someone to meet you with warmth instead of weariness. When someone sighs at your sadness or treats your struggle like a chore, understand what's happening. They are revealing their emotional capacity or lack thereof. That has nothing to do with your value. You're not the problem. Their inability to show up is. So what can you do? Start by surrounding yourself with people who respond with presence. Not pity, people who don't just hear you, but actually listen. Who don't try to cheer you up in a way that invalidates your feelings, but instead sit beside you in your storm and say, "I'm here. Take your time." These are the ones who understand that holding space is not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to be still with someone else's pain. That's real compassion. And maybe, just maybe, you can learn to be that kind of person for yourself. When others can't or won't hold your hand, hold your own heart with kindness. Talk to yourself like you would to a friend in pain. Remind yourself that it's okay to not be okay, and that your emotions are not evidence of your weakness, they are signs of your depth. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough comes not from someone else finally showing up, but from you deciding that you will no longer apologize for your softness, your sadness, or your need for connection. You are allowed to take up space, even in your struggle. So the next time someone makes you feel like you're a burden, don't shrink. Observe. Notice, ask yourself, do I feel seen here? Do I feel safe? Or am I constantly walking on eggshells trying not to be too much? You deserve people who meet you where you are, not people who need you to pretend to be fine so they can stay comfortable. Pain, shared in the right company, becomes lighter. But pain shared with the wrong people becomes another source of shame. Choose carefully. And when in doubt, choose compassion. For others, yes, but especially for yourself. 5. When they act superior in your suffering. There is a special kind of cruelty that comes not from outright hostility, but from veiled superiority. You come to someone in a moment of hardship, grieving, anxious, defeated, and instead of comfort, you receive condescension. They don't listen to understand. They listen to respond. They don't offer compassion. They offer critique. Maybe you've heard it before. Well, I went through worse. You just need to be stronger. If you had made better choices, you wouldn't be in this position. These words may be framed as tough love, but more often than not, they're just veiled ego. It's less about helping you and more about asserting dominance in the emotional hierarchy. Your suffering becomes an opportunity for them to feel superior, more resilient, more wise, more together. But here's what you must remember. True wisdom is humble. It doesn't parade itself. It doesn't need to stand on top of someone else's pain to feel tall. Those who have truly walked through fire know how to approach others with gentleness, not arrogance. They don't compare wounds. They acknowledge the them. When someone uses your low moments as a platform for their own ego, understand what's really happening. They are disconnected from empathy. They mistake lecturing for leading and judgment for strength. But strength without compassion is just control. And advice without understanding is just noise. Ask yourself, when you're at your lowest, who are the people that draw closer instead of stepping back? Who offers you silence without pressure? Who validates your experience without trying to rewrite it in their own image? Those are the people who understand the sacredness of suffering. Not that suffering is noble, but that in our most broken states, we need softness, not superiority. We need people who won't use our pain to prop themselves up, but who will kneel down beside us and say, "I see you." There's also an inner lesson here. Sometimes we internalize those superior voices. We start to talk to ourselves the same way they did. I should be stronger. This is my fault. No one else would be struggling with this. But those aren't your thoughts. They're echoes of someone else's ego. Silence them. Instead, speak to yourself from a place of real strength. The kind that says, it's okay to be hurting right now. It doesn't make me less. It just makes me human. Don't let someone else's arrogance become the voice in your own head. Protect your inner dialogue from those who turn empathy into ego. And when you find someone who offers presence instead of performance, who listens without trying to fix or one-up you, keep them close. In times of suffering, it's not just what's said to you that matters. It's the energy it's said with. Beware of people who dress up their superiority as wisdom. They are not mentors. They are mirrors of insecurity. And finally, remember this. You don't owe anyone your pain as a stepping stone for their pride. Your wounds are not their stage. You have every right to walk away from anyone who uses your struggle to inflate their own sense of importance. Walk toward humility. Walk toward empathy. And walk away from anything that feels like judgment, masquerading as help. 6. When the past is thrown in your face. Growth means leaving your past behind, but manipulators love to remind you of your worst chapters. They drag up your lowest moments not out of concern, but to keep you stuck in them. They want to shrink you back into the person you used to be, because that version of you was easier to control. When someone throws your past in your face, it's rarely about you. It's about them. It's about their need to re-establish dominance, superiority, or relevance in your life. Maybe you've grown in confidence. Maybe you've changed your habits, cut ties with toxic influences, or stepped into a better version of yourself. That kind of evolution can be threatening to people who are still standing where you left them. It's important to understand that reminders of your past can be a form of emotional manipulation. They might disguise it as just being honest or keeping it real, but what they're doing is weaponizing your history against you. They're not highlighting your past to inspire reflection or growth. They're doing it to control how you feel in the present. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." This is a powerful reminder that the most effective response to such manipulation isn't retaliation, it's refusal. Refusal to engage in the drama. Refusal to explain yourself. Refusal to regress. Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you spiral. If someone brings up your past to hurt you, don't argue, don't defend yourself. Simply recognize what they're doing, trying to reduce your power, and then deny them that power by staying rooted in who you've become, not who you were. Growth isn't linear, and no one is perfect. We all have pasts, things we're not proud of, mistakes we wish we hadn't made, versions of ourselves we've outgrown. But the very fact that someone needs to reach into your past to criticize you speaks volumes about how far you've come. If your present were weak, they wouldn't need to dig. Understand this. If your past was truly still a problem, they wouldn't have to bring it up. You'd still be living in it. The very act of someone referencing who you used to be is a backhanded compliment. It means you've changed enough to make them uncomfortable. Stand tall. Let them say what they want. You are not your past. You are your effort, your growth, your resilience. You are everything you've done to become who you are today. And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve front row access to your future. So, when they throw your past in your face, don't throw words back. Throw silence, throw stillness, throw your continued success. That's how you win. Not by stooping to their level, but by rising so far above it that their words no longer reach. 7. When they reappear, only after your comeback. Nothing reveals the truth about people like your comeback. When you were struggling, they disappeared. When you were lost, they didn't look. When you were on your knees, they looked away. But now that you've risen, stronger, clearer, and on your path, they show up again. Smiling, supportive, acting like they never left. It's tempting to welcome them back. After all, part of you might still crave their validation. A piece of you might remember how much it hurt when they vanished. But don't be fooled. Their sudden reappearance isn't a coincidence. It's convenience. Loyalty is not measured by who cheers for you when you're winning. It's revealed by who stands beside you when you're losing. And make no mistake, people who disappear when you're broken don't deserve to be near you when you're whole. When someone only shows up after the storm has passed, it means they never intended to help you survive it. They waited for your struggle to end before making their grand entrance. Because being around you when you're down would have required effort, empathy, or integrity. They had none to offer. These people don't want you. They want the benefits of you, your energy, your momentum, your glow-up. And while they may act like they've always believed in you, their absence said otherwise. This is a critical point in your journey, because how you respond to their return will define the next chapter of your growth. You don't need to confront them. You don't need to call them out. But you do need to remember, not to be petty, but to protect your peace. Ask yourself, where were they when you needed encouragement, not applause? Where were they when your soul was heavy, when your bank account was empty, when your nights were sleepless and silent? Real ones don't wait until the sun shines. They bring the umbrella in the rain. This is not about holding grudges. It's about discernment. Forgiveness is your right, but access is your choice. Just because someone reappears doesn't mean they've changed. Sometimes they just want to be seen in the glow of your success. But glow doesn't lie. You can feel who's genuine and who's not. True supporters don't need perfect timing to show up. They're there when the lights are off, when the crowd is gone, when you're questioning everything. They remind you of your worth even when you can't see it yourself. Those are your people. Keep them close. As for the ones who come back with flattery and selective memories, treat them like distant echoes. You don't need to be rude, just be firm. Protect your space. Keep your circle intentional. Because the truth is, Not everyone deserves a second seat at your table just because you rebuilt it. Growth means choosing peace over popularity. It means understanding that not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some were only there to witness your fall, not your rise. And that's okay. Let them stay where they left you. Your comeback isn't for applause, it's for your soul. Let it be sacred. Let it be yours. And let it be the filter that separates the real from the fake. Because now, you know, silence during struggle speaks, louder than praise in success. Struggles don't just test our inner strength, they expose the quality of our relationships. A Stoic life is built on clarity, not confusion. Boundaries, not blind trust. So protect your peace. Choose your circle wisely. And remember, not everyone deserves a seat at your table, especially those who didn't show up when you had nothing to offer but your pain. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more content on mastering your mindset and living with purpose. Until next time, stay grounded, stay strong, and stay true.